Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 19 of Great Talks, where I have my first live guest. In this episode, we talk about life after college. Hope you guys enjoy. Easy.
Team Reez.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Great Talks. This is my first time having a special guest on the show, and it just so happened to be a celebrity. Can't believe I even pulled this off. Just go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Tyler Johnson. I prefer you address me as Tyler Johnson or High Fly Ty. Only my close friends call me Lil T. So I'm really big on gratitude. So I want to go ahead and thank you, Reez, for having me on here, man. I'm a huge fan of yours.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is a dream come true. Like, it's been a life goal for mine to be on here with you and just being able to converse and really have some great talks. Not too much else to know about me except I just work out, and then work out again. Like, that's pretty much all it is to it.
Man, this is one of the guys that I really look up to in my life. Been a phenomenal man of God. Just a lot of good things that this guy does. That's why I like to hang around him. But what I really wanted to bring him in to this show is because he is a very great communicator. He has a very great perspective and outlook on life, and he's a very educated man, and he's Black, so you got to support Black people. But what I want to talk about today as my first guest is life after college. And I'm like, growing up from high school, you have that whole situation like, oh, well, you're about to enter the real world going into college. But when you finish college and you did whatever you did in college, then it's like, well, you really in the real world. And it's like a whole different ball game. So like, kind of walk us through that transition, how it's going from you right now, as far as leaving college and entering the real world.
That's a good observation in how people always say you're entering the real world like after high school, going into college. I mean, obviously it's different when people go straight from high school to working. And then it's also different because we were athletes going from high school to college. But after college, that's a good story right there. So how I really navigate through that, what's it been, 3 years, 2019 since I graduated, May 2019. So I actually moved to Austin out on a whim. I was scrolling through LinkedIn and I was just trying to find out what was next for me. A job offer fell through that was going to be in New York. So I was just trying to I didn't want to stay in Shreveport like at all. I love where I'm from, but it's just not where I was going to stay. And so I think, I was scrolling through LinkedIn, in the kitchen actually, and I found this Forbes list that a friend of mine had shared, and it was the top places for young adults to move, and Austin was number one. And I was like, all right, it's what, 5.5 hours away. I talked to my mom. I was like, hey, I think I want to move to Austin. She was like, okay, it's a lot closer to New York and California. I ended up, let's say a week later, I lined up 3 job interviews, and then I drove out, and then I got the job offer on my way home. So by the end of the month, like I was going to move. Like, I found somebody through a mutual friend that lived out here already. So I just kind of did a little bit of couch surfing for the first part of it. Man, it was tough because the job that I originally got here when I worked here was not it. Like, Reez, you remember, I used to tell you every day, man, bro, I don't want to do I don't want to do this, man. This sucks. But it was, I will say, it was humbling, and it was a great experience for me to grow for myself, going through the different battles like at work. And then coming home, realizing that, like, dang, like I can't just like go into my mom's room or go and see somebody that I love and that I'm close to. Also, when I moved out here, I didn't have a car and I didn't have a bike. So like I was a foot soldier, and I was an Uber and Lyft soldier. I actually got into a lot of debt, but that's a story for another time. Literally Ubering to work back home like every day. But yeah, so from then on, like, it's just been a series of constant grinding, setting new goals and trying to reach those to make sure that I'm not, that I don't end up back where I was. A lot of times where I've just wanted to, well, not wanted to, but like been faced with some adversity where it looked like I was going to go back, but then, God always got some in the works a little bit further than where you can see. And so I just kept trekking towards it. That's really been my saving grace. God, and then the mentors I have out here have really helped me walk through this real world. So yeah, get some mentors too. If you're going fresh out of college, you need some mentors, like somebody who's actually been through what you want to get to or where you're going. In a nutshell, that's how it's been.
Well, that's a very great wrap up, and I think you hit a lot of points that I know a lot of people will be able to relate to, especially in the midst of not knowing what's next. I know that the fear of the unknown scares a lot of people. And I think learning how to navigate in the fear of the unknown is something that people need to know how to do. And I think one of the best ways to do that, and you mentioned it, is like you have a relationship with God. And I think that's really important. So can you like describe how your relationship with God allowed you to maneuver in the midst of the unknown?
I'd say, my relationship with God, honestly, in even just the last since November, what, 2 months has like grown exponentially, like even more over the past 3 years. So during those times, it was more like I was being carried type thing through the unknown. I didn't really know how to process some stuff. I was dealing with some stuff mentally, personally, and like emotionally, especially just my first couple months out here was when COVID started to happen. So like that was a whole different ball game in and of itself. Cause not only am I in a new city, but then everything shut down. And then you had the fear of all the such and such. I'm not gonna get too deep into that. People have their own say. But I'd say it evolved from being like me being carried through whatever I'm going through, not really knowing like I'll be super tired, but somehow I'm still going, I'm still grinding. And I know it's not on my own strength and not on my own merit. So it's going from that to like I said, in the last couple months, more of a like I'm starting to get my footing, like I'm actually walking through this instead of just like being carried. Like because I'm actually aware of like, okay, yeah, this is definitely like looking back on what I've been through the past few years, like, oh yeah, that was definitely God that got me. So now it's like a conscious decision for me to continue to like process things and walk through it, like a hand in hand walk now, as opposed to, like I said, being carried.
I have a question that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to around this age, especially people who don't really know what's the next step. Like, my question to you is, what advice would you give someone who's fresh out of school, fresh out of college, fresh out of whatever they're doing, and they have absolutely no idea what to do next or what direction to go towards? What would you advise them to do?
They don't have any clue what they want to do.
They have no inclination. All they know is they just don't really know what the next step is because they've been used to being told what to do. I know like school kind of cripples us in that way. It's like, well, after 11th grade comes 12th grade, then after 12th grade, you go to college, then after your freshman year, then comes your sophomore year, then you have your whole curriculum set out for you. But then when you actually are done with that curriculum, now it's time for you to make your own decisions. People don't know what to do after that. And that's what's a lot of people, they come to a standstill in their life and they just allow the fear of the unknown and depression and their anxiety starts to take over. And they're like, well, they have all these social media pressures saying they're supposed to be rich and famous by like this certain age. And they're like, they have a lot of things that are just weighing down on them. And I have no idea what to do about that.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, fresh out of college, just do something. Like, just don't sit around and wait, because nobody's gonna come and tell you. Like, once you get that paper, that diploma, that degree, whatever, like you're on your own. Like, and that's the truth. I'd say find something that you can build. I mean, I know people have different like ideologies. Everybody doesn't have the entrepreneurial spirit in them. Everybody isn't a business tycoon or mogul or whatever. Everybody doesn't really want to be an employee for like construction or whatever. But those are some good jobs, good routes to take. And yeah, honestly, just don't squander your youth. And it's funny. I remember the first time I said that, like as like a 20-something-year-old.
Figuring
I was
out
like,
your
dang.
20s.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, like that's a real thing, like squandering your youth. Because like I know a lot of people who just sit, and I'm not going to describe what they do, but they just don't do anything that's productive. So I say, like, if you can find something to do, even if it's like just a little job to bring in some income until you find what you want to do. Like it's so many jobs. Like the employee is in charge. It's crazy. Well, I won't say they're in charge, but they definitely have a lot of power. Like this is probably the most power, quote unquote, that employees have in a long time from what I've like researched and seen or whatever. But like you can definitely get something to fund or bring in income until you find something that you want to fund, like a business or whatever. And then also find some mentors. That's my number one thing to say. Like,
Yeah.
find mentors. I have a lot.
Yes.
I do Ninja Warrior. I have a mentor for that. Physically, like working out and training. business mentors. I have spiritual mentors. I have literally mentors for just finances. Like I have more than that too.
As well as a community that you can relate to around your own age. He also has that, which is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. People, and I'd say find people, they don't have to be mentors per se, but I'd say find people that you feel in your heart of hearts is actually going somewhere. And not to like put off your old friends or anything like that, but you know, you can still be friends with people and not necessarily want to be around the same things that they're doing. Like I feel like if my time that I share with you isn't helping you advance, then it doesn't really like it's pointless. I just wasted time. Like if I'm not making somebody's life better, if I'm not making, or like if I'm not hanging out with somebody and coming productive, we're thinking, we're getting more intellectual, we're growing, whether that be spiritually, mentally, like whatever. Like if I'm not actually adding value to the person that I'm spending time with life, I feel like it's a waste, in my opinion.
I mean, that's a very good perspective. And that's something I like. I think everybody needs a person like you with that mindset that you have. They need somebody like that around to help them grow. Because if you're not around people that can help you grow, then that's not putting yourself in the best position for you to where you need to be in life. And I think a lot of people get caught up in being stagnant because they don't know where to go. Well, look at people who know where they're going and ask them what they did and look to them. That's why you mentioned mentors who've already done what we're trying to do in our stage right now in life. And then you have people who can actually pour into you, such as your friends, your peer group. If you don't have a peer group, I would highly advise you to seek out a godly community. Some people don't have access to that, and I know it's different for everybody, but don't allow that to be an excuse or a limitation for you, because where there's a will, there's always a way. And I believe that you should pray about something before you worry about it, before you try to take something to your own hands. That's what I feel, and that's what I believe. I'm not going to press my beliefs on anybody else, but I can only tell you what works for me.
Team Reez.
Thanks for watching. Click here to subscribe and click here to watch more videos.
Na 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 na.